Welcome back to Excel 10-Minute Leaders Live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Broadcasting right now from Singapore. My name's Graham Brown, connecting all the way across to Florida. I'm joined in the studio by Robert Colon. Robert, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'd love. So
it's great to have you here. So just to say that we were chatting off air, you have an interesting background there. You are officially half Puerto Rican, half South Korean.
Yes, I'm Puerto Korean, as some would say.
Have you ever met anybody else like that outside your family?
Actually, it's funny. One of my high school classmates, there were twins who were both the same mix. I'm like, how does this work?
Lightning strikes twice.
I guess it does.
Yeah. All right then, Robert. We got 10 minutes together. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
Let's do this then. So the formalities. Do you have a business card? If you do, what does it say on it?
Well, it says Revive Ministries, but at the back it says, "Why should we care?" And it says, "What? Because we can't afford not to." A lot of the people I talk to have gone through a lot, and sometimes we just have these only if statements, but sometimes just saying it's okay to not be okay and pressing forward is what needs to happen. So
there's a lot of pressure on being okay, or at least appearing to be okay in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What's the reality that you find that people that you work with?
Well, I feel like sometimes we put a lot of pressure on, and we don't put enough boundaries in our lives. You know, it's good to have those social connections, but you also want healthy boundaries so you can kind of breathe when you do have those tough times. And also that your value doesn't stem if you don't make these only if statements in your lives, because there's other opportunities, and it's not about how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. And I think a lot of times in recovery, it's kind of like it finds like a finality, unless there's always another day. Sometimes the best thing you could do is just say, it didn't work out today, I'll try again tomorrow. That's it.
What do you mean by an only if statement?
Only if statements like, I will only be valuable if I make it to this echelon, or I get this job, or have this relationship, or have this prestige. And a lot of times it's really just being present with an individual. You know, a lot of times it's our connections that matter. We saw that with COVID-19 and how much we miss the face-to-face. And I feel that, you know, value is something that we a lot of times give away, but we don't really internalize of what's really valuable to us personally. So.
And you have a podcast yourself?
Yes.
Right. What's the subject of your podcast? What's it about?
I try to create a safe place. You know, a lot of times we wear a lot of hats in our lives. We try to say, oh, I'm going to say this because, you know, but for me, it's not about, you know, with mental health. We cover mental health, we cover substance use, we cover all kinds of, you know, traumas. And we just, you know, it's okay to be not okay. And we just kind of, for me, I just like to create that safe place so we can have real conversations. And so we could process them. And I feel the response and the intentionality that I've been with it has been really rewarding. You know, seeing all people from all walks of life really responding well of this kind of model. You know, like was it Mr. Rogers model, but more modern in the way that, you know, it's okay to not be okay, but also going further and asking ourselves, when we talk about stigma, we kind of bash it over with a blunt instrument, but at the same time, we understand there's cultural context of why those stigmas are even brought about. And there's a lot of fear in that. And I feel like mental health, all this stuff is messy, but just having the conversation and continuing it is what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Well, it's great. Robert, I'm going to flash up 3 hashtags on the screen, which are the 3 trending keywords of the day, the meta messages, which are popular, people talking about in business, society, mental health, and so on. And I want you to help us understand, why are these being talked about now in the context of the conversations that you're having on your podcast? So here we go. We've got resilience, authenticity, vulnerability. Now, years ago, even 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, we didn't really talk about these, but now we're talking about them, and they're being used and overused and abused in marketing. What's the reality? Why do we need to talk about them, and what do they mean?
Well, like I'm just looking at going the back end. When I think of vulnerability, there's when I have people in my life that they've been married for a long time, but now they're back home with COVID and they're together in a space, and they have never been able to actually have a connection or communication. That's why authenticity, and they just don't like each other. They may love each other, but they don't like to be around each other because they got so busy. This urgency, this busyness became more valuable than actually building that relationship that they have. So I think resiliency, is going through the hard times. I find that marriages, well, at least what I've found, that marriages usually end not because of hard times, it's because they feel that there's something better elsewhere. It's not because the hard times sometimes give strength into the relationship. But I find that it's interesting what happened with COVID, that vulnerability and authenticity was going to lackluster before. So you see kind of, at least in what I've experienced, that people have neglected this, and then now it's a bigger issue because they have to kind of confront it head on with some people that they just assumed would just work out because they're in the same vicinity. But relationships need that kind of constant, the one constant in life is change. And I feel that we have to kind of adapt. Albert Einstein said it, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. One of the smartest men ever said that. So I feel that change a lot of times gets overlooked, and I think adaptability is one of the, and authenticity and vulnerability allows us to do that.
And where do you come in all of this, Robert? What's your superpower, and both being the podcast host and the ministries, and your approach to the whole subject area?
I think my superpower is just being annoyingly intentional. It's not about getting it right the first time. It's really just being present. J.K. Rowling, and I know those Harry Potter fans, I loved what she said. She said, it's our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. And a lot of times I will take someone willing to fall down on their face and get back up than someone who has a huge resume that tells me a lot but doesn't show me a lot. A lot of times it's just moving forward. We're a lot of times try to be jack of all trades, but really just focusing and being present at the time at hand. I feel it's a skill that's being lost. If I could go in a big room and talk to you, Graham, and you feel like you're the only person in that room, that's an ability that's getting lost. And that's basically what I try to do with my podcast.
We don't have conversations these days, do we? We don't have. That's why I think podcasting's become popular, is because in a way it's creating that connection we've lost, whether it's due to the pandemic or due to our current work lives or due to work from home, disconnection, social media. There are a lot of factors, aren't there? But we don't have those deep, meaningful conversations. Maybe I'm fantasizing that we used to have them in the old days, the campfire conversations. Mm-hmm. What do you see? Are they going away? Is that what we're losing?
I think busyness became more like kind of dictated how valuable we were. Like it's good to be ambitious and all, and I feel like sometimes we lose sight of what's right in front of us. I'm a leader in a church, and one of the things I've noticed is at someone's deathbed, it's not about all the stuff they have, the titles, it's about the people around them at that point. So you kind of look at it backwards and then forwards, and you kind of see value. Sometimes we just, like in the beginning I said, we give away too easily. And I feel that has kind of made communications and how we connect lackluster. We have so many methods to connect, and we still don't connect.
We have a lot of connectivity, but little connection, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Fascinating you're talking about that there's kind of end of life scenes as well.
Yeah.
When everything else doesn't matter, really, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter how many hours you put in the office. And I'm sure there's been a lot of studies done, hasn't there, about people in palliative care talking about what they regretted in those final days as well. And most people said they regret they didn't spend enough time with the people they cared about and having, importantly, those deep, meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
And that's what counts.
Yeah.
So, Robert, it's great to have you on the show to share a little bit of that today. and to help us hit that reset button, think about what matters most. Where do we find out more about you?
Well, I have a website. It's reviveministriesfl.com. And really, I post every Thursday new podcast. I broke 100 episodes in March, and I'm just slamming through. I for one, I like to keep it light and fun, because at the same time, I myself pretend to sing. On March, I did do a few songs myself, Music Monday, but really it's just, it's just being present with my audience and also showing that it's okay. And I feel I've gotten a really great response, and I just want to kind of share with those listening right now, watching, that, and come check me out. And then, and also if you know someone who wants to be on, just let me know, because I'm open to get more guests and from all walks of life out there.
Fantastic.
Again, thank you, Graham.
Yeah, thank you. Once more, the link.
Revive Ministries, FL.com. I will.
That's fine. We got it. It won't come up in the chat. So
yeah.
There you go. Robert Colon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on XL 10 Minute Leaders Live today.